As President Trump stated yesterday, he is still committed to placing tariffs on Canada starting as early as tomorrow, possibly. If the president does choose to implement any tariffs against Canada, we're ready with a response.
What if I told you that overnight? The price of your groceries, your car, even your morning coffee could skyrocket. What if the quiet neighbor to the north, Canada, just made a move so bold it could reshape the entire North American economy? This is not just another trade dispute. This is an economic battleground where billion-dollar industries, political ambitions, and national pride collide. From unexpected tariffs shaking supply chains to secret weapons that could send shockwaves through the global market, what's unfolding right now could change everything. Stick with me until the end, because the final twist in this economic standoff is something no one saw coming. The unexpected strike that shook the markets. In a move that stunned the world, Canada announced a sweeping tariff policy against the United States. A 25% tax slapped onto key American goods, with an additional 10% surcharge on energy products. For decades, these two nations had been partners, tied together by free trade agreements and economic cooperation. But this new development shattered the illusion of a peaceful, predictable relationship. News anchors scrambled to make sense of it.
Trade war is likely coming with the United States. President Donald Trump plans to hit our country with a 25% tariff as of this coming Tuesday, and Justin Trudeau promising Canada will be hitting back.
Social media erupted with debates. Some Americans saw it as betrayal.
I think it's pretty ridiculous and a slap in the face to our allies. Like, you guys have our back, you stimulate our economy.
While many Canadians celebrated it as long overdue self-defense. And the United States? It was caught completely off guard. Why no one thought Canada would retaliate? The United States had always assumed Canada would take the diplomatic route, no matter how tense things became. Trade agreements like the North American Free Trade Agreement, now the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, were supposed to ensure stability. But beneath the surface, resentment had been brewing. For years, Washington's trade policies had increasingly favored American businesses, leaving Canadian industries to fend for themselves. Local companies, farmers, and manufacturers had warned their government that enough was enough. And when the United States threatened new tariffs on Canadian products,
we're on time with the tariffs, and it seems like that's moving along very rapidly. We've been mistreated very badly by many countries, not just Canada and Mexico.
The response was swift and unexpected. This was no longer just about trade. It was about power, respect, and survival. A political firestorm in Washington. The moment the news broke, Washington was thrown into chaos. Lawmakers rushed into emergency meetings. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Others urged caution, fearing an all-out trade war could spiral out of control. Behind closed doors, economic advisors scrambled to analyze the fallout. News briefings became tense as reporters grilled officials about why they hadn't seen this coming. Meanwhile, business leaders, especially in the auto industry, were panicking. If these tariffs remained in place, supply chains that relied on seamless cross-border trade could collapse, leading to mass layoffs, factory shutdowns, and economic instability. How Canada united its people against the crisis. While Washington struggled, Canada was rallying. The Prime Minister addressed the nation with a firm but reassuring message.
This is a choice that, yes, will harm Canadians, but beyond that, it will have real consequences for you, the American people.
These tariffs were not an attack, they were a defense. Across Canada, a wave of national pride took hold. Communities vowed to buy local. Grocery stores promoted Canadian-made products. Farmers urged people to choose homegrown fruits and vegetables. Even schools started teaching students the importance of supporting local industries. Rather than buckling under economic pressure, Canada doubled down, and they had one powerful advantage that could change everything. Canada's secret weapon, the resource that could shut down the U.S. economy. Trade battles often focus on cars, electronics, and consumer goods. But Canada holds something far more critical: energy. The United States depends on Canadian oil, natural gas, and electricity to power its cities and industries. A disruption in this flow could send fuel prices soaring overnight. If Canada ever decided to limit its energy exports or impose hefty surcharges, entire regions of the United States could face an economic meltdown. Gasoline, home heating, and electricity costs would skyrocket. Industries that rely on steady energy prices, like transportation and manufacturing, would be crippled. And the mere threat of such a move gave Canada unprecedented leverage in trade negotiations. The auto industry on the brink of collapse. Perhaps no sector stands to suffer more than the automobile industry. The modern car is built using parts that cross the border multiple times before assembly is complete. A 25% tariff on each crossing could inflate the cost of a single vehicle by thousands of dollars. The result: car prices are soaring, factory slowdowns, job losses in both countries. Ford, General Motors, and other automakers were already warning that if the dispute wasn't resolved, they might have to shift operations overseas, an outcome that would devastate countless American towns built around auto manufacturing. How this trade war is hitting you where it hurts. For the average person, this isn't just politics, it's about real-world consequences. Grocery prices are climbing. Everyday staples like fresh produce, bread, and dairy are already seeing sharp price increases. Families who once shopped freely now second-guess every purchase. Buying a car? Prepare for sticker shock. Even used car prices are rising as supply chain disruptions make new vehicles more expensive and harder to find. Local businesses are struggling. From repair shops to restaurants near manufacturing plants, entire communities are feeling the squeeze as economic uncertainty spreads. Could this spark a global trade rebellion? Canada's bold stand is being closely watched by the rest of the world. Europe is considering similar countermeasures against U.S. tariffs. Asia is weighing trade alliances that could leave the United States isolated. Mexico faces a tough choice: side with its North American partners or protect its own interests. If more countries follow Canada's lead, the United States could find itself not just in a two-nation dispute, but in a global trade war. China and Europe are ready to take over. While North America fights itself, competitors are moving in. China is ready to supply electric vehicle batteries, metals, and parts at lower costs, luring away American and Canadian buyers. Europe's automakers are eyeing new opportunities, hoping to win over customers and take market share from struggling North American firms. With every passing month of this conflict, North America's economic dominance weakens, and its rivals grow stronger. Where do we go from here? There are only two possible outcomes. The United States and Canada strike a truce, a deal that preserves their deep trade ties, stabilizes industries, and prevents further damage. The conflict drags on indefinitely. More tariffs, rising costs, job losses, and global competitors seizing the opportunity to overtake North America. The choices made today will echo for decades. How cars are built, how food is priced, and how nations trust each other in an interconnected world. Everything is at stake. So now the question is, will cooler heads prevail, or will this standoff spiral into an economic catastrophe? Comment below with your thoughts. Where do you think this is all heading?